Hello, folks, and welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. I will open tonight with my day two post-election thought that while Tuesday's midterm vote was not a cavalry, it was a GOP platoon. There's no question the GOP is going to take the House, and that's an enormous, earth-shaking event. Joe Biden is dissing it, but he may think otherwise in a few weeks. Meanwhile, there's still a path to taking the Senate with Adam Laxalt in Nevada, 50th vote, Herschel Walker in a runoff in Georgia, a 51st vote. And by the way, it's still too soon to write off Blake Masters in Arizona. In fact, election returns so far, I think, contributed to the 1,000-point rise, 1,000 points or more in the Dow Jones today. Big stuff in the stock market. Anyway, later in the show, we're going to be talking to Republican gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake about the whole Arizona story. There are over 600,000 votes still not counted, and the vast majority of them likely to go Republican. So buckle your seatbelts. Platoons can be very powerful. Next up, I want to turn to Joe Biden's presser late yesterday afternoon. Many of us have wondered whether he'll change his tune now that he's losing one or both houses of Congress. So take a listen to this exchange.
75% of voters say the country is heading into the wrong direction despite the results of last night. What in the next 2 years do you intend to do differently to change people's opinion of the direction of the country, particularly as you contemplate a run for president in 2024?
Nothing, because they're just finding out what we're doing.
So, Bill Clinton, he's not. The answer is no. He has no intention of changing his big government socialist policies. Don't know if that would change at all if the Republicans take the Senate on top of the House. But I didn't hear any hints from Mr. Biden. And when he says nothing, as in nada, no change, because people are just finding out what we're doing, well, I'd call that one a head scratcher, wouldn't you? So let me get this right. For 2 years, people didn't know what you were doing. You were just kind of sneaking through in quiet whispers. $5 trillion in new inflationary spending, a vast war on fossil fuels, the biggest regulatory binge, an open border, a fentanyl drug problem, a crime wave. You don't think people knew that? You don't think they know that inflation has been 40-year highs? They're just now finding out the day after the election? Really? I know the election was a lot closer than many of us predicted or hoped for, but you're going to get one big check and balance when the GOP takes over the House of Representatives. And that's a big story in this election, which, as usual, has been undercovered by the mainstream media. Losing the House is not going to be any fun for you, Mr. Biden. We'll have House Majority Leader-to-be Steve Scalise on in just a moment or two to tell us why. Then, of course, Mr. Biden once again repeated his fraudulent statement that he inherited an economy that was reeling, sometimes he says in ruins, when in fact it was growing at 6.5%. But that piece of fraud, that is the reeling economy, is what led to all the inflationary spending. So a major untruth triggered an inflationary wave which has done great damage to the economy and to family businesses and to falling real wages. Then Mr. Biden accused newly reelected Senator Ron Johnson of moving to cut Medicare and Social Security, which is a big, fat, flat-out lie with a capital L. Senator Johnson was on this show last night and talked about the need for fiscal restraint and less federal spending. But he specifically referred to discretionary programs, not the big entitlements. And in fact, in Mr. Johnson's Wall Street Journal op-ed this morning, he couldn't have been clearer about aiming for discretionary spending. And then yesterday, Mr. Biden once again Pinocchio'd his way through some major league falsehoods on oil and gas companies. But I'm going to save that one for our next guest, Steve Scalise, because it's going to be so much more fun to talk to Mr. Scalise about it. And finally, Mr. Biden said he's not really sure if he could break the back of inflation, but he made it very clear he will not support any Republican proposals that will make inflation worse. Folks, do you remember any Republican proposals to make inflation worse? As I recall, all 50 Republican senators voted against the original $2 trillion emergency relief plan back in March of 2021. And then all of them again voted against the recently fraudulently named Inflation Reduction Act. So to be honest, I don't really know what Mr. Biden's talking about on that one. I guess it's part of his alternative universe thing. As I've said before, the Republican House is going to change a whole lot in Washington, whether Mr. Biden gets it or not. And there's still plenty of vote counting room for a GOP Senate, too. So like I said, the platoon is coming. And that's my riff.